I'm curious from your perspective and the reasoning behind it is how important is it for people who are running and managing law firms to be checking in with their staff to see how they're managing during these uncertain times?
Well, I think it's like any management 101 book would tell you, check in with your staff frequently, right? Even prior to COVID. That's a skill that is, really very necessary, I think. When you have a life or death experience like what we've gone through, that just raised the ante a little bit more. And I think one thing is recognizing that there's diversity within your staff, and there'll be some staff members that may present as if being just fine and might be suffering or might be having difficulty adjusting in private. So it's good to know to have a good relationship with your people so that you can tell, where you may be intruding, if it's outside of the business scope, But the one thing that we saw about the pandemic was that boundaries got blurred to some degree, right? And it was in how do you say it? I'm bilingual, so sometimes I start wanting to say stuff in Spanish, excuse me. When boundaries get blurred, what happens is that then the guy that was just your boss didn't really ask you much, is now asking a little bit more. And that was very appropriate considering the circumstances. I think in COVID, a lot of people showed that they were able to continue to have this dialogue with their staff about how are you doing, what's going on at home, because they're wanting to make assessments as to, when are people going to start coming back into the office? How's Nick doing at home working on his stuff? Do I see anything going on where I might be able to help him? So I think that, as I said, we talk business always talks about having good communication with your team, right? And that varies depending on the culture within any office or organization. Everybody has a different way of reaching out to each other. And so I think it was very important here for people to really know where everybody was at emotionally. And then also for those that were, having some stress symptoms for a period of time is, to sit down and talk to them or figure out how that they could better support the people is super important.